there's a good reason that I call myself that Englishman in Texas. Not just because I'm an English guy in Texas, but because of another very, very common reason. For years, when I was on television and I was recognized for my TV show here in the States, people would always be like, hey, you're that Australian guy from TV, right? And I'm like, no, I'm actually British. I'm that British guy from the TV. Like, even to the point that when I was selected as the new host of Right This Minute in like season 3, a story was done by the local channel and they were like, and a new host from Down Under. I'm like, no, I'm not Australian. So I was like, I figured I would just get past it and go with that Englishman in Texas and it is something that confuses Australians and Brits alike. All right, Australians and Brits, we are cousins. We have a fun rivalry, but we also kind of like joshing around. But there is one thing that unites Aussies and Brits is that our total confusion that Americans think our accents sound the same. They are literally like, could not be less similar. We're on opposite sides of the world for a reason. You know, it's like we say no, Brits say no. Australians say no. You know, we say, oh, mate. And they're like, oh, mate. I mean, Australians all over the place, right? It's like, whereas British, it's kind of, I know there's many accents, don't get me wrong, but even my sort of pretty posh British accent, it is not Australian. It doesn't sound anything like Australian, but at the same time, I understand, because I say stuff like no worries, because I've got a bunch of Australian mates, and a lot of Americans think that my hat makes me look Australian. And okay, I can also understand the mistake, especially when it comes to me picking the movie that reminded me of New York the most, being Crocodile Dundee. I love that movie. Crocodile Dundee is a treasure. 5 stars, no notes, perfect movie, would recommend to everybody. But okay, I do get it. It's because it came out in 1986, and I love that movie, and I watched it a million times, and it was the first time I ever saw New York City. That and Ghostbusters was my kind of perception. So I suppose, okay, I do understand, but that's why I'm that Englishman in Texas. And the movie podcast that I do, the United States of a Movie podcast, where every week we try to find one movie to represent each state in the United States. As you can probably figure out, we're doing New York. I know it's a state, but we definitely went with the city because the 3 movies we chose were, of course, Crocodile Dundee, mate, Wall Street, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It actually got quite fascinating, pretty interesting conversation, actually. And it's really interesting to see our different perceptions of New York. And also, my friend Will absolutely tore apart Crocodile Dundee, and now I hate him. No, I don't hate him. But he definitely ruined my childhood. If you want to listen to the podcast, you can find it wherever you enjoy your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. You can listen to it online at Megaphone and things like that, or just look up the United States of Movie podcast. Or if you like to watch it, we also have a YouTube show that you can enjoy. It all landed today. You can find links in my link tree or in the description for this very video. But at the same time, Australia, back me up here, right? Americans, you've got it wrong. It's not that hard. Brits and Australians do not sound anything alike.